Picture a small village in western Spain. Not the Spain of flamenco and coastline postcards. This is older Spain, quieter Spain. Stone walls, dusty paths, a fountain nobody photographs. In 2003, a woman named Carmen stood in the courtyard of her home and watched two men carry away the last piece of furniture she owned. She was 62 years old. Her husband of 38 years had died the previous winter. His debts she had not known about, had taken the house, the savings, and most of what remained. She had a suitcase, she had her hands, and she had one neighbor who offered her a room in the back of a small farmhouse on the edge of town. Now, I know what you might be thinking, that this is a story about suffering, about a woman broken by misfortune. It is not. Over the next 12 minutes, I want to walk you through the 6 things Carmen did, quietly, without any plan, that rebuilt her life entirely. Not just her circumstances, her life. And I think at least one of these things will stay with you long after this video ends. Extremadura sits in the west of Spain, along the Portuguese border. It is one of the least spoken about regions in Europe, and one of the most quietly resilient. The villages here are old. Many are nearly empty now, as young people leave for Madrid or Seville. What remains are the very old and the very stubborn. A 2025 study from the University of Toronto followed more than 8,000 adults over the age of 60 who reported poor well-being after a major life loss. Nearly 1 in 4 of them, 23%, had fully regained what researchers called optimal wellness within 3 years. Not just coping, not just surviving, genuinely well. The researchers found something the villages of Extremadura already knew. It was not medication or money that drove recovery. It was movement, connection, purpose, and a particular relationship with time. Carmen, without knowing any of this science, did all 4. So let's get into her 6 rules. The morning after she moved into the back room of that farmhouse, Carmen was up before sunrise. Not because she felt strong. She would tell people later, "I felt nothing that morning. I was completely empty." But she walked to the village square anyway. This is the first rule, and it sounds almost too simple to mention. She moved before she was motivated. She did not wait for grief to pass. She did not wait for certainty. She walked into the square, not because she wanted to, but because staying still felt worse. Research on psychological resilience consistently identifies this pattern. The people who recover from late life loss are rarely the ones who felt ready. They are the ones who acted without readiness and let the feeling follow. There's an old saying in Castile, "Al mal tiempo, buena cara." To bad weather, show a good face. Carmen understood it differently. She did not pretend to be fine. She just showed up. Within the first week, Carmen asked her neighbor, the one who had offered her the room, if she could use a small plot of land behind the house. Not much, a few square meters. She wanted to plant something. This is the second rule. She did not ask for help with everything. She asked for one small thing she could build on. There is a particular kind of shame that comes with starting over at 62. The world, it feels, is watching, judging, wondering how you let it come to this. Carmen bypassed that entirely. She did not ask for pity. She asked for dirt. That plot became her kitchen garden within a season. The neighbor's family began sharing meals with her. A second neighbor asked if she would also tend a small corner of their land. One small ask, one patch of earth, one season. It was enough. In the village, Carmen was known, had always been known, for her bread. A particular loaf, dense with olive oil, flavored with rosemary. She had made it for 30 years for her husband and children. 3 weeks after she lost the house, she made the bread again. Not for anyone, not to sell, not as therapy. She made it because her hands remembered how. This is the third rule, and it is one the older Spanish women I have spoken to return to again and again. When the mind is too wounded to plan, the hands are still capable. Occupational therapists call this procedural memory, the way the body retains skilled tasks even when emotional or cognitive function is disrupted. But the village women of Extremadura have no name for it. They simply say, work the dough. Carmen's bread began to circulate. A neighbor took a loaf to the Sunday market. By autumn, Carmen had more orders than she could fill. She had not set out to build a business. She had set out to remember who she was. Spanish rural women, particularly those of Carmen's generation, are trained from childhood not to burden others. You work, you carry, you do not complain, you do not bear your sorrow. Carmen broke this rule quietly, one evening in the square. A group of older women she had known for years asked her how she was managing, and instead of saying fine, she told them. Not everything, not with drama, but she said, I am struggling, and I do not know yet how this ends. This is the fourth rule. She allowed herself to be witnessed. A 2021 report in the American Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry found that 80% of adults between 50 and 80 reported better mental health than they had 20 years earlier. And social connection was among the most consistent factors. Not professional support, not therapy. Simply being seen by people who already knew you. The women in the square did not fix anything for Carmen. They listened, they nodded, they came back the next evening, and the evening after that. Before the loss, Carmen had a life with visible markers of progress. A house, a husband, a kitchen of her own, plans. After the loss, she had almost none of that. So she changed what she measured. A good day, she decided, was any day in which she planted something, made something, or walked somewhere she had not walked before. That was it. No other criteria. This fifth rule is perhaps the most underestimated of all. Most people who face loss at 60 try to return to the scale of the life they had before. They measure themselves against what was. Carmen measured herself against the morning. Plant something, make something, walk somewhere new. She told me, many years later, that she never once had a bad week that contained all three. There is a particular pressure when you are rebuilding your life publicly to justify it, to explain why you are starting a small business at 63, to explain why you choose to live in a farmhouse back room instead of moving to a city where a daughter might help, to explain why you are, apparently, content. Carmen never explained, not once. When village gossip wondered aloud how she managed, she neither denied the hardship nor performed gratitude for an audience. She simply continued. This sixth rule is the one that surprised me most when I first encountered her story. We assume that resilience requires a narrative, a before and after, an arc with a lesson at the end. Carmen's resilience had no narrative. It had only the next morning. She did not know she was rebuilding. She was just living. That, I think, is the point. Carmen rebuilt her life by 65. Not to what it was, to something she had not imagined when she was still inside the old version. 6 rules, none of them complicated. She moved before she was ready. She asked for one small thing she could build on. She kept her hands busy before her mind could follow. She let herself be witnessed. She shrank what a good day needed to contain. She did not explain herself to anyone. No gym membership, no therapist, no plan, a patch of earth, a bread recipe, a bench in the village square at dusk. There's a Spanish proverb that Carmen quoted the last time I heard her voice on tape. No hay mal que por bien no venga. There's no misfortune that does not carry a good within it. She did not say it with certainty. She said it the way someone says something they have earned the right to believe. I think that is worth sitting with for a moment. If Carmen's story meant something to you, even a little, I'd really love it if you stuck around and subscribed. This channel is about the people the history books never quite get around to. The ones who figured out something important about living and carried it quietly for decades. There are more of them. I'll keep bringing them to you, and I'll see you in the next one.